Hello everyone, welcome to Vidyan's Foundation for Science, Technology and Research. This is Dr. P. Srinivas Rao, Assistant Professor in Physics, Department of Science and Humanities. Today we are going to discuss about the lasers, which is your first module on the bridge course. Okay, so first these are the contents. So the first we will discuss about the introduction to lasers. Next we will discuss about the different processes that are involved in the interaction with the radiation with matter. So next one is the what are the principles. Okay, so next one is the what are the characteristics of the laser light, and next one is the different types of lasers. Okay, so finally we will discuss about the applications of lasers. Okay, first we will go to the first theoretical foundation for the lasers was developed by Einstein. Okay, so he introduced this stimulated emission. Okay, so next C.H. Towns in 1954 and his co-workers developed the MASR, which is called as a microwave amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, so here M refers to MASR, okay, and A refers to amplification, and S refers to stimulated, and emission, E refers to emission, and R refers to radiation. So the simple form of microwave amplification by stimulated emission of radiation is the MASR. Okay, so the principle for the laser was first established in the MASR. Okay, so this was developed by the Einstein, which is based on the stimulated emission. Okay, so in 1960 T.H. Maiman, who built this first laser device, and he got the Nobel Prize for his discovery. Okay, so he is the person, this T.H. Maiman, with his first laser device. Okay, so this is the brief history about the lasers. Okay, so next one is the so laser refers to the light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, so these are the first letter for the light. Okay, and the second letter for the amplification is the A. Okay, third letter for the S refers to the stimulated, and E refers to the emission, and R refers to the radiation. So if you collect all these first letters, then it will be the laser. Okay, so this laser is the acronym for the light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So what is the purpose of this laser it will amplify the light. Okay, so next and it also increases the intensity of the light. Okay, so laser is the device which can improve the amplitude of the wave and as well as the intensity of the wave. Okay, so how it is going to, we will discuss today. We are going to discuss how laser light is different from the normal light. Okay, how it is more advantage than the normal light. Okay, so this is the normal light. Okay, this light, so it will spread all over all the directions. Okay, so if you look at this light, okay, if you look at this light, so the intensity of this light is more at the starting point. So when it comes to when we are moving away from this light source, okay, you can see the intensity is decreasing. Okay, so when we are going away from this, so intensity here it is maximum. Okay, so when you are going away from this light source, okay, the intensity going to reduce. Okay, so this is the problem with the normal light source. Okay, so this is the problem with the normal source. So the intensity is maximum at the starting point. But when you are moving away from the light source, the intensity starts to decrease. Okay, so that means energy is dispersing all over all directions. So energy is dispersing all over all directions. Okay, and also intensity is getting reduced. So I want all the energy only in one direction, and also I don't want to disperse all this energy to all the directions. Okay, I want all the energy to my eye. Okay, and also I don't want to disperse all this energy in all directions. Okay, I want only all this energy in the same direction, and as well as I don't want to reduce the intensity. Whatever the intensity that I have at the starting point, I want same intensity at the ending point. Next one is so we know that light is a wave. Okay, light is a wave. Okay, so let us say this is the wave 1. Okay, light is a wave. So this is the light wave, and this is traveling along the x direction. Okay, so we know, so here the wave 1 is moving along the x direction. Okay, so the amplitude of this wave, this wave, so the maximum height raised by the wave from the mean position is known as the amplitude. Okay, so here this is the amplitude, Okay, so along the y direction, let us say this is the y direction. Okay, the wave is maximum height raised by the wave, we call it as the amplitude A, and we designated with the letter A. So this is the amplitude of the wave. Okay, so here the crust is forming, this is the crust and this is the trough. Okay, so I am bringing, so the trough amplitude I designated with the minus A. So now I am going to bring the another wave which are having the same amplitude and also these two crusts. So in the first wave the crust is forming, let us say at some point. Okay, and also in the second wave, so the crust is forming at the same time. Okay, so these two waves which are in the same phase. Okay, so the phase in the sense the position of the wave, here the position of the wave is same, here the position of the wave is also same. Okay, when the two waves are mixed in the same phase, that means the position of the waves are same in the forming at the same time. Okay, so when the two amplitudes are mixing at the same time, so the resultant amplitude will become doubled. Okay, so in this way, here the amplitude of the first wave is equal to capital A and the amplitude of the second wave is equal to capital A. When the two waves are mixed together, we can get the resultant amplitude is equal to 2A. Okay, so we know that is intensity of a single wave is equal to square of the amplitude. Okay, so in this way it will become A square. Okay, so if you mix two waves, this is also A square. Okay, so if you mix these two waves, then you will get the only 2A square. But when you mix these two waves in the same phase, okay, when you mix these two waves in the same phase, you will get the resultant amplitude 2A and the intensity becomes 4A square, because intensity is always directly proportional to the square of the amplitude. Okay, so if you mix the two waves in the same phase, then you will get the more amplitude. So here the amplitude becomes doubled. Okay, that means the amplitude is increasing. So that's why this process is known as the process of increasing the amplitude is known as the amplification. Okay, so the phase means the position of the wave at an instant of time is called as the phase. Okay, so the wave at certain position, so this position is called as this is the phase of this wave at certain position at certain time. Okay, and this is the some position of the wave at certain time. When the two waves are having the two crusts at the same time, then the resultant amplitude become doubled. Okay, so in the same way, when the two crusts are having the same, when the two crusts are wave forming at the same time, then the resultant amplitude also, so the crust amplitude becomes doubled. So in this way the two amplitudes getting doubled, so that the intensity will become 4 times. Okay, so this is the process of increasing the amplitude, and so that we can get the amplification of the light. That means the process of increasing the amplitude. Okay, so next one is, so how to get this one? We know that if we bring the two waves in the two waves in the same phase, you can get the resultant amplitude doubled. Okay, so how to get this one? So in order to get this one, we have to first understand how the photon will interact with the matter. Okay, matter is nothing but the matter is made up of atoms. Okay, atoms contains protons, electrons, neutrons, etc. Okay, so how this interaction will take place with the matter with the radiation. Okay, so in order to understand this, we have to understand how the interaction of matter with the radiation. Okay, for this purpose, so first I am going to shine the photon on this atom. Okay, so this is atom. Okay, so this is atom. We have centrally positively charged nucleus. Okay, and the electron is revolving around the positively charged nucleus. Okay, so this is the electron is revolving around the positively charged nucleus. Okay, according to Bohr's model, so there are so many energy levels. Okay, so this is the first energy level and this is the second energy level. Okay, so now the photon, so this is radiation, that means the light source. So when the radiation falls on an atom, okay, so when the radiation falls on an atom, so the electron, this is the ground state, that means it is the low energy state. Okay, so when the electron absorbs this photon, which is you could suppose this is 4 electron volts and this is 3 electron volts. So the difference between the 4 and 4 minus 3, that is equal to 1 electron volt. So if you give 1 electron volt, then the electron will jump from the, so then the electron will jump from the low energy state to the high energy state. Okay, so this is the photon. So we are giving the energy in the form of photon, that means in the form of light. Okay, so this radiation also we can say it as the light as the electromagnetic radiation. So when the photon falls in an atom, okay, the electron absorbs the energy and it will go to the excited state. Okay, so this means the electron is absorbing the light. Okay, it is taking all the photons. Okay, so initially the electron is in the ground state, and when it absorbs the photon, it will go to the exit state. Okay, so here E1 is the ground state and E2 is the exit state. So when the photon absorbs this one, okay, it completely absorbs the photon and it will go to the exit state. Okay, okay, this is simply called as the absorption or stimulated absorption. Stimulated in the sense it will force the ground state electron to the exit state. Okay, it will speed up the process of absorption. Okay, so this is called as a, so when the electron goes to the exit state, will it stay for a long time? No, it will not stay for a long time. It will stay for only for a 10 power minus 8 seconds. It will stay for only 10 power minus 8 seconds. So this is the time spent by the electron in the exit state is known as the lifetime. Okay, so that means since its birth, and that means when it is electron is go to the exit state. Okay, so how much time it spends here and it will die again. Okay, that means it comes to the ground state. So the amount of time spent by the electron in the exit state is known as the lifetime. Okay, so this is of the order of 10 power minus 8 seconds. After spending this 10 power minus 8 seconds, so you can see, okay, after spending this time, so automatically it will release this energy. Okay, the difference between the, suppose this is 4 electron volts, this is 3 electron volts, so 4 minus 3, that is equal to 1 electron volt, it will release in the form of photon. Okay, so here you can see the electron will come automatically to the ground state. Okay, so by releasing the energy in the form of a photon. So this is known as the spontaneous emission. And the emitted photon, this emitted photon, so it can move anywhere. So in this direction it can move in this direction, it can move in any direction. It has no particular direction. We cannot control it, this process. Okay, because the photon can be emitted in any direction. Okay, in any direction. So there is no particular direction it cannot that it can pass. Okay, so there is no directionality, and nor high intensity, because for the intensity, as we have seen before, if you want to get the more intensity, so the waves should travel in the same direction and they should merge each other. So next one is the most important. Okay, as we had defined before, laser means light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, so how to get this light amplification by stimulated emission? Amplification in the sense the process of increasing the amplitude. How to increase the amplitude? By using the stimulated emission. Okay, so in some states, okay, so there are some special states, what we call as the metastable states. Okay, so these metastable states, these lifetime is more. Okay, so here important thing is, in case of spontaneous emission, we have only 10 power minus 8 seconds. Okay, but sir, there are some special states where we can get the high lifetime. Okay, that means the electron will spend more amount of time here. Okay, such type of states are called as the metastable states, whose lifetime is equal to 10 power minus 6 seconds to 10 power minus 3 seconds. So such type of states are called as the metastable states. So when so that the electron here will spend a lot of time. So these type of states are called as the metastable states. Okay, so when the photon incident on this atom, let us say, so when photon incident on this atom, you can get the 2 photons out. Okay, so 2 photons out. Here you can see, so here the photon is striking this electron and it will stimulate the photon to come to the ground state. Okay, here you can see there are 2 photons, because so when the photon is incidenting here, okay, so when the photon is incidenting here, this photon does not absorb this energy, it will not go to the exit state, it will come to the ground state. Okay, that means this process, the external photon force this electron to come to the ground state. Okay, force this electron to come to the ground state. Okay, that means it will stimulate, that means it will stimulate the emission process of this electron to emit a photon. Okay, that means to come to the ground state, this will force the electron to come to the ground state. Okay, so here absorption is not taking place, so the first photon is always it is not getting absorbed, but since the here electron is in exit state, okay, and this is also forcing it to come to the ground state. Okay, so let us say, suppose we are giving 1 electron volt photon plus here let us say this is 4 electron volts and this is 3 electron volts, so 1 electron volt photon, so totally we can get the 2 photons. Okay, in case of spontaneous emission, since we are not giving any photon, okay, but here in stimulated emission we are giving external photon. Okay, so we are giving external photon, and this external photon when falls on an atom, it will force the excited electron to come to the ground state. Okay, so here it will emit 2 photons which are in the same phase. Okay, phase in the means the crusts are forming at the same time, troughs are forming at the same time. Okay, that means this incident photon will force the emitted photon to come in the travel in the same direction. Okay, so these two photons will travel in the same direction and also they will merge with each other. Okay, so these two photons they will merge with each other, and so this is the advantage. So when the two waves are merged with each other, what will happen? We have seen already before. So this is the first photon and this is the second photon. So when the two photons are merging with each other, so the amplitudes are getting improved. Okay, here you can see this is the first photon and this is the second photon. So when the first photon and the second photon, when they are merged with each other, you can get the resultant amplitude greater. Okay, that means it is getting doubled. Okay, so in this way here the amplitude is increasing, because here for one wave the amplitude is equal to A. Okay, when the two waves are mixed together, you can get the resultant amplitude much greater. Okay, so this process is called as the amplification. So here we are getting the light amplification, because these are the light waves. Okay, so these are the light waves, so its the amplitude is getting, so this process is called amplification. So since this process we are getting by the stimulated emission, that's why it is called as the light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. So this is the meaning for the, okay, so how you are getting some good characteristics based on this stimulated emission. So this is stimulated emission giving the four important properties. First one is the monochromaticity, and second one is the coherence, third one is the directionality, fourth one is the intensity. Okay, so what is monochromaticity? First we will go one by one. Okay, so the first important property of the laser is the monochromaticity. Mono in the sense single. Okay, chromatic in the sense color. Okay, so here monochromatic in the sense, so here you can see in the laser you can see only one color. Here you can see this is the laser, just like laser point, we have only one color. But in case of normal light you can see there are so many colors, because this is in the white light you can get the so many colors, because the white light contains the 7 colors VGR, violet to red. Okay, so in the normal bulb you can get the white light. Okay, that means you are getting the 7 colors. Okay, but in case of laser source only one color we are getting. So why we are getting only one color? Because in the stimulated emission process we have seen the transition is taking place only between the two energy levels. Okay, so because we are giving the incident photon which is equal to the difference between the two energy levels. Okay, so if the difference between the two energy levels is equal to 1 electron volt, then only if you want to do stimulated emission to get occur, so you have to give the same incident photon also 1 electron volt. Okay, which is exactly equal to the difference between the two energy levels. Then only stimulated emission will occur, otherwise stimulated emission will not occur. Okay, so here only emission is taking place only between the two energy levels. Okay, so since only this is happened, so you will get the E2 minus C1 equal to, that means 4 minus 3. Okay, let us say this is 4 and this is 3, so 4 minus 3, that is equal to 1 electron volt. Okay, so finally you can get the only one wavelength, that is equal to h nu, where h is the Planck's constant and nu is the frequency of the radiation emitted. Okay, so in this way, so since instead of C we can write nu lambda, h nu equal to hc by lambda. Okay, because since C equal to nu lambda, so instead of nu we can write C by lambda, where C is the velocity of light and lambda is the wavelength. So instead of nu we can substitute the C by lambda. So since here lambda is only 1, okay, that means so we can get the only one color, that is known as the, so only one wavelength is emitted, that's why we call it this property as the monochromaticity. Okay, but in case of what will happen in case of light bulb, okay, in case of ordinary light, so here you can see there is one filament. Okay, so in this filament we have metallic filament. So in the metallic filament, in metals we know from the band theory that metals contains the conduction band and valence band, both are overlapped. Okay, so the electron from here, so it can go to any energy level, so it can come to any energy level. Okay, so there are so many energy levels. Okay, but here in case of laser only two energy levels are possible. Okay, and the stimulated emission is taking place between only two energy levels, only one wavelength is possible. But in case of normal filament light, since there are so many energy levels, conduction band and valence band both are overlapped, since there are so many energy levels, so the electron can emit from any energy level to any energy level. Okay, so here you can get the so many colors, because that light transition can take place from any energy level to any energy level. Okay, so in case of ordinary light we can get the polychromaticity. Okay, in case of normal light we can get the polychromaticity, but in case of laser light you can get the monochromaticity. Okay, so poly means many, but in case of laser source only we can get mono, that means only single, you can get only single color, because here the transition is taking place only between the two energy levels. Okay, so the only you can get only one wavelength, but in case of metallic filament you can get the so many transitions between many energy levels. So in this way you can get different colors and different frequencies, and you can get finally you can get the different colors you can get. Okay, so next one is the coherent. Okay, so coherent in the sense all the waves must be in the same phase. Here you can see for the first wave crust is forming here, and for the second wave crust is also forming at the same time, because in the stimulated emission the two photons are in the same phase. Okay, the two photons are in the same phase and they must form at the same time. All the crust must be in at the same time, and all the troughs must be at the same time. Okay, that means then they are said to be they are in the same phase. Okay, when the two photons are in the same phase. Okay, when many photons are produced, all photons must be in the same phase and they must travel in the same phase. You can see here, so they are moving like in the harmony. Okay, so they are moving like a harmony. Okay, so these waves are said to be in coherent sources. But here if you compare the regular light and the laser light, moving in a constant amplitude and constant frequency, so even when they travel in millions of kilometers, they will travel in the same phase. That means there will be no phase difference. That means all the crusts are forming at the same time and all the crusts are forming at the same time. Okay, but in case of regular light, since this regular light contains the white light, okay, so this regular light contains the white light, so white light contains the 7 colors, and these 7 colors starting from the violet to the red, so VIBGYOR. Okay, so the white light contains the 7 colors VIBGYOR. So these colors have the different frequencies starting from the red to the violet. So these waves travel with the different frequency and the different wavelength. So they move randomly, and there is no, we cannot control this process, this spontaneous emission. They will move in the random direction. That's why the LED, so when the torch light is on, so the light will spread just like in a cone shape. But in case of laser source, it will travel only single direction. Okay, so this property is known as the coherent. Coherent in the means all the phases are same. Okay, there is some phase relationship between the waves. Okay, that means all the crusts are forming at the same time and all the troughs are forming at the same time. Okay, so next one is the directionality. Okay, so as we have seen before, these two photons that are emitted in the stimulated emission, they travel in the same direction. Okay, so but in case of ordinary light source, since the spontaneous emission will take place, okay, so these photons will move in a random direction. Okay, but in case of laser, the given photon will force the emitted photon to travel in the same direction. Okay, so in this case two photons are emitted and these two photons are traveling in the same direction. Okay, so in case of laser source, all the photons travel in the same direction. That's why this property is called as the, since they are moving in the only one direction, this property is called as the directionality. But in case of normal light, so if you switch on the torch, it will, so the light will spread. Okay, so this angular spread is given by delta theta equal to lambda. Okay, where lambda is the wavelength and d is the aperture of this. So next one is the intensity, as we have seen before in the amplification. So when the two waves are mixed, okay, when the two waves are mixed, the amplitude is getting doubled. Okay, so this is the first wave, because in the stimulated emission two photons are emitted. Okay, two photons are emitted and they are moving in the same phase. That means these crusts are mixing, and this means these amplitudes are mixing. Okay, when the two amplitudes are mixing, the resultant amplitude becomes doubled. So when the resultant amplitude becomes doubled, so intensity of the one wave is equal to I square. Okay, so when the two waves are mixed, the amplitude is getting doubled, intensity is getting doubled, so that here when the amplitude is getting doubled, the intensity becomes 4 times. Okay, so at the same time, so if let us suppose 3 waves are mixed in the same phase. Okay, 3 waves are mixed in the same phase which are having the same amplitude. Okay, so in this case the intensity becomes 9 times, because the amplitude when it gets 3 times, automatically the amplitude becomes 3 times, and so the intensity becomes 9 times. Suppose if you mix the 3 waves. Okay, suppose if we mix the n waves, then it will be instantly becomes n square I, because here if we mix only 2 waves, that means it is become 2 square into I, that means 4I. Okay, if we mix 3 waves, that means 3 square into I, that means 9 times. Okay, so if we mix n waves, it will become 9 square into I. Okay, in this way. Okay, so now we come to the difference between the spontaneous emission and stimulated emission. So this spontaneous emission will take place in the normal light source, but this stimulated emission will take place in the laser source. Okay, so here in the spontaneous emission of photon takes place after light. Okay, 10 power minus 6, after spending 10 power minus 8 seconds, it will come to the ground state. But here it will stay for 10 power minus 6 to 10 power minus 3 seconds. Okay, so when it is in the excited state, so this process will take place when the external photon is given to this one. When the electron is in the excited state, so stimulated emission will take place after giving the photon. Okay, so here only single photon is emitted. Okay, because when the electron in the excited state, it will come to the ground state automatically, so only one photon is emitted. But in case of stimulated emission, since we are giving the external photon from the outside, okay, when the external photon is giving, so when the external photon is giving, electron is coming to the ground state and 2 photons are produced. Okay, so here the 2 photons are emitted. Okay, here the polychromatic radiation. Poly means many. Okay, chromatic means color. So here the electron transition takes place in the metallic energy levels from different energy levels to different energy levels. Okay, so here many colors are emitted. So poly means many, chromatic means color. Okay, here the monochromatic radiation. Okay, since only transition is taking place only between the 2 energy levels. Okay, so only single color is emitted here. Mono in the sense single color. Okay, so here incoherent radiation, but since these waves are moving, traveling in the different directions. Okay, but here all the photons are traveling in the same phase. That means all the crushes are forming at the same time and all the troughs are forming at the same time. So here the coherent, all moves are moving, all waves are moving in the same phase. Okay, here the amplification, so amplification is not taking place because the waves are moving in different directions with different amplitudes and different frequencies. Okay, so here there will be no merging of the photons, hence there will be no increase in the intensity. But here all the photons are traveling in the same direction and they are also merging. Okay, so in this case intensity will be increased. So here, so the emitted photons will move differently because here so since there are so many energy levels, so the emitted photon will move in any direction. Okay, there is no particular direction. But in case of high directionality, so here these 2 photons which are emitted in the stimulated emission, they move in the same directionality, so it will force all the photons to travel in the same direction. Okay, okay, here no amplification because the photons are traveling in the different directions, so they will never merge and there will be no amplification. But here, since the 2 waves are mixing with each other, since they are traveling and they are merging, so amplification of the light vehicle phase, that means the amplitude will become getting doubled, tripled if you mix the 2 and 3 waves respectively. Okay, so this process we cannot control from the outside. This spontaneous emission automatically takes place when the electron after spending its lifetime in the excited state. But in this case, so when the electron is in the excited state after so this will take place only in the metastable states. So when the electron in the excited state for a sufficient time, so this process is taking place. That's why, so when the external photon is given, then only stimulated emission will occur. Okay, if there is no external photon, there will be no stimulated emission. Okay, so in this case, we can control it from the outside because when we are given the external photon, then only stimulated emission process will occur. Okay, so this was proposed by Bohr. Okay, so this was proposed by Bohr in his atomic model. So this was proposed by Einstein, as we said in the, so he proposed this model in 1917. Okay, so the example for this one is the mercury lamp or ordinary light source, but example for this laser source is the helium laser or CO2 laser. Okay, so this is the laser source. So laser has these all important characteristics. First one is the monochromaticity, directionality, high intensity and as well as the coherence. So these are the 4 important properties of the laser source. Okay, so how to get this stimulated emission? Okay, so normally, so this is the ground state energy level and this is the excited state energy level. Okay, so when the electron is in the ground state, okay, so when the photon falls in this atom, so here the absorption is taking place. Okay, so when the atom is in the ground state, absorption will take place. Okay, so there is no use from the absorption. Okay, so we need the atoms in the excited state. So when the atoms are in the excited state, then only stimulated emission will take place. Okay, otherwise there will be no stimulated emission. Okay, so we need the atoms in the excited state. Okay, so when the photon falls on an atom, so both stimulated emission and stimulated absorption both are equally probable. Okay, that means when the photon falls on this atom, so some electrons are in the excited state in some atoms and some electrons are in the ground state in some atoms. Okay, so when the photon falls on this atom, absorption can take place or stimulated emission can take place. So both are equally probable. So we need the atoms in the excited state, because in order to stimulated emission to occur, only we need the atoms in the excited state. Okay, so here the number of atoms, so E1 is the ground state and E2 is the excited state. So here N1 is the number of atoms in the ground state and N2 is the number of atoms in the excited state. Okay, so N1 is the number of atoms in the, so population usually refers to the number of atom in an energy level. So here N1 refers to number of atoms in the ground state and N2 refers to the number of atoms in the excited state. Okay, so this is the normal condition. Okay, this is the normal condition. Here number of atoms 1, 2, 3, 4, these are greater than the number of atoms in the excited state. Okay, so here since N1 is greater than N2, so that means 4 is greater than 2. So this is called as the ordinary condition. But when it is inverse, because we need atoms in the excited state. So we need atoms in the excited state. So this condition, if the number of atoms in the excited state is greater than the number of atoms in the, so this is called as the population inversion, because here the population is getting inverse. That means here number of atoms in the ground state is greater than the number of atoms in the excited state. But here it is getting reversed. That means it is getting inverse. Okay, here the number of atoms in the excited state is more and the number of atoms in the ground state is less. So this is called as the population inversion, because we need atoms in the excited state for the stimulated emission to occur. Because for the stimulated emission we need the metastable states, and so these atoms should stay in the metastable states for a long time. Okay, so we need the atoms in the excited state, not in the ground state. So it is called as the population inversion. Okay, so how to get this lasers? Okay, so for the laser to obtain, we need the first one is the population inversion. Population inversion in the sense we need the atoms in the excited state, more number of atoms in the excited state more, that's why we need to get the population inversion. Okay, so this is the first condition, and second one is the metastable states. Okay, so the electron has to spend more time in the excited state, then only to stimulate emission we need the metastable states. That means its lifetime should be 10 power minus 6 to 10 power minus 3 seconds. Okay, so we need large number of photons. So why we need a photon? Because for the stimulated emission to occur, we need the external photon. So if we have the external photon, then only we can get the stimulated emission radiation. Okay, then only we can get the stimulated emission. So we need the large number of photons inside the cavity. So the first condition is population inversion. That means we need the atoms in the excited state, and these energy states should have the lifetime more. And third one is we need the external photons to get the stimulated emission. Okay, so these three are the important conditions for to obtain the laser. This pumping in the sense how to get the atoms in the excited state. Okay, suppose at your home, let us say this is your home. Okay, so at the bottom we have some tap source, so we have some water here. Okay, let us say this is the ground state E1, let us say, and this is the you have water tank on top of your home. Okay, so this is another water tank. Okay, so you need to send the water from here to here. Okay, so that means from the lower energy state to higher energy state. Okay, from the low state to high state. Okay, you have to send the water from the ground level to first floor or to your top of your home. Okay, so this process is called as so here we use the pump. Here you use the water pump to send the water from the ground to the first floor. Okay, so this is called as the pumping. Okay, because since here we are sending the, okay, so we need to send the atom from the ground state to the excited state, because we need the atoms in the excited state. Okay, so this process is known as the pumping. So here we send the water, in the same way here we send the atoms. That's why this process is called as the pumping. Okay, so the process of achieving the population inversion is known as the pumping. Okay, so there are so many mechanisms to send the atoms from the lower energy state to the ground excited state. Okay, so this process of achieving the population inversion, that means to get the more atoms into the excited state, is known as the pumping. Okay, so so there are so many mechanisms. So out of these we have, okay, first one is the optical pumping, second one is the electrical pumping, so third one is the atom atom collision, fourth one is the chemical pumping. So we will go one by one. So how to get this optical pumping? So optic in the sense, it is nothing but the light. Okay, optic in the sense light source. So here we use the xenon flash lamp. Okay, so here we use the strong flash lamp which can give the light source. Okay, so when the light source falls on an atom, okay, so this is the ground state energy level, and this is the first energy excited state, and this is the second excited state. Okay, so when we shine the photons by using the xenon flash lamp, okay, it is nothing but the lamp, okay, which can give the light source. Okay, so by using the xenon gas, it will give you a flash. Okay, so when this flash falls on an laser source, okay, laser medium, so when this photons falls on this atoms which are in the ground state, okay, so they will absorb this energy and they will go to the excited state. Okay, so this process is known as the optical pumping. Okay, so here you can see, okay, so these are the photons. When the photon is incident on an atom, so they will go to the excited state here. Okay, so all these photons, so if we give 3 photons, it will absorb the 3 atoms to the excited state. Okay, so after this is not the metastable state. Okay, for the laser stimulated emission to occur, we need the metastable states. Here the U2 is the metastable states. Okay, so when they go to the excited state E3, okay, when they go to the excited state 3, since this lifetime is very short, okay, so this E3 level is lifetime is very short, is of the order of 10 per minus seconds. So immediately they will come to the E2 state, which is a metastable state. Okay, so this E2 level is metastable state. Okay, since this population inversion, here you can see there are three atoms here, and here is only one atom. Okay, so here the population inversion, because 3 is greater than 1. So okay, that means N2 is greater than N1. Okay, so N2 is greater than N1, so number of atoms in the excited state is greater than the number of atoms in the ground state. Okay, so this process, this condition is known as the population inversion. So for to obtain the laser, we need the population inversion. So in this population inversion, we need the more atoms in the excited state than the ground state. Okay, so in this way, here we use the optical. That means optic means light source. Okay, here we use the xenon flash lamp. Okay, so when we do the flash lamp, that means we give the flash of some light source like xenon. Okay, so these photons will strike the laser medium atoms, the atoms in the laser medium, and these atoms will absorb the energy and they will go to the excited state. Okay, so after they go to the excited state, so since this E3 level is having the low lifetime, okay, very short lifetime, so they will come back to the E2 energy level. Okay, so this energy level, so here this E2 energy level is metastable state, that means it is having the more lifetime. Okay, 10 power minus 3 seconds to 10 power minus 6 seconds. That's why, so here it will stay for a long time. So the number of atoms in the E2 level is greater than the number of atoms in the E1 level. Okay, so it will stay here for a long time. Here you can see when the photons strike, the electrons will go to the excited state E3. Here they will stay for a short time, and they will come back to the E2 state. Okay, so the number of atoms in the excited state is greater than the number of atoms in the ground state. Okay, so the population inversion is achieved between these two levels, and the laser emission will take place between these two levels. Okay, so next one is the electrical pumping. Okay, so here we use the electricity. Okay, that means here we apply the lot of voltage between the two electrodes. Okay, so here you can see, so this is our laser medium. Let us say this is the gas. Okay, so this is the voltage, high voltage around, we will give around 10 kilovolts. Okay, that means it is we apply the lot of electricity. Okay, so this is the positive electrode, so we need two terminals. This is the positive electrode and this is the negative electrode. Okay, so when we give the lot of electricity to this gas, so here we have, when we give lot of electricity, so some of electrons are removed. Okay, so this process is known as the ionization. Okay, so since this is a gas, some of the electrons will be loose. So okay, so that means they get ionized. That means it will become positive ion, and this will, so it will lose the electrons and it will become positive ion. So this process is known as the ionization, because because the atoms are getting ionized, that means they are losing the electrons. Okay, so this process is known as the ionization. Okay, so some of the electrons are released. Okay, and when these electrons are colliding with the other atoms. Okay, so since this mass of the electron is 10 power minus 31, 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg. Okay, so this is the mass of the electron. Okay, and mass of the, let us say, helium atom, that is equal to 4 into 1.67 into 10 power minus 27. Okay, so this is of the order of 10 power minus 30 and this is of the order of 10 power minus 27. Okay, so that means this helium ions are atoms, they are 1000 times heavier than the, okay, heavier than the these electrons. Okay, so the electrons move very fast because these electrons are having the negative charge. Okay, when the large electricity is applied, so some of the atoms are getting ionized, that means they becomes ions. Okay, that means they are separated into the positive charge ions and the electrons. Okay, so when the electrons and positive ions are separated, okay, when the electrons are separated, so these electrons will move fast towards the positive electrode, because here there is a positive electrode and here we have positive electrode and these are electrons. These are electrons having the negative charge. Since positive opposite charges, these two will attract, because here it is a positive charge and here it is a negative charge. So both will attract. So the electrons move to this side and they will collide with any atoms and they will transfer the energy to the another atoms. Okay, because the mass of the electron is very less, 1000 times less than the mass of the helium atoms. Let us say this is helium gas. Okay, so here the helium ions does not move, or atoms does not move much, and these electrons will move very fast because they are having the very less mass. Okay, the less mass materials are move very fast. Okay, compared to the high mass materials. Okay, so these are moving very fast and they will collide with any other atoms and they will transfer the kinetic energy. Okay, so here the electrons are moving. Okay, so these high speed electrons, they will collide with the atoms and they will transfer the kinetic energy, and these atoms will absorb this energy and they will go to the excited state. Okay, so once they will go to the excited state, since the E3 level is having a very short lifetime, and they will come back to the E2 state, which is a metastable one. Okay, when these come to the metastable one, here you can see there are lot of atoms, because this is the metastable states. Here they will spend a lot of time, and when they spend a lot of time here, so the population inversion is achieved between these two energy levels, because here there are only two atoms, here there are so many atoms. Okay, hence the population inversion is achieved. Okay, so this is the electrical pumping. So in this electrical pumping, we use the high voltage. Okay, high voltage electric discharge. Okay, so when the high voltage is applied to this gas or to the laser medium, so ionization will take place. First it is getting separated into the positive ions and to the electrons. When it is separated into the positive ions and electrons, so these electrons are having the very less mass and they are having the negative charge. So the negative charge electrons, because having the negative charge, they are attracted towards the positive electrode. Okay, when these gets attracted towards the positive electrode, okay, so they will collide with any of the atoms. Okay, they will collide with any of the atoms and they will transfer this energy. So these will go to the excited state. When these will go to the excited state, so here they will stay for a short time, because here the lifetime of this E3 state is very less, and this E2 is the metastable states. So immediately they will come back to the E2 state, but here they will stay for a long time. Okay, because the lifetime of this E2 state is very high. Okay, so this is the electrical pumping. Okay, they will collide with some atoms and they will go to the excited state. Okay, so next one is the atom-atom collision. So this is also same as the electrical discharge method, but here we use the two types of gases. So first one is the gas 1, next one is the gas 2. Okay, so this method we use in the helium ion laser source. Let us say helium is the gas 1 and neon is the gas 2. Okay, so in this method we use the different type of sources. First one is the gas 1 and gas 2. Okay, so similarly we apply the large amount of electricity, that means around the 10 kilovolts. When 10 kilovolts is applied, so in the same way as we have seen before, so these electrons, some of the electrons are removed and this will become ionized. That means some ions are forming. Okay, some of the atoms are getting ionized and ions are forming. So these electrons, they will travel towards the positive electrode. Okay, and first they will collide with the gas 1. Okay, first they will collide with the gas one, and these gas atoms are again collide with the another gas molecule. So these electrons first they will transfer energy to the, let us say, gas one molecules, and these gas one molecules again collide with the another atoms. Okay, here you can see this is the electron, and they are colliding first with these atoms. Okay, so they will transfer this energy, and these atoms will transfer energy to this one. Okay, so in this way, so due to the collision between the atoms, these electrons will transfer the energy from the first atom to this gas molecule, and these gas molecules again collide with the another gas molecule, and they will transfer the energy from the one molecule to another molecule. Okay, so this is called as the atom-atom collision. Okay. Okay, so this is the ground state of the gas one molecules, and this is the exit state. Okay, so when the electrons are moving, they will transfer the energy to the gas one molecules, and these atoms will go to the exit state. When these atoms are in the exit state, they will collide with the next gas molecules, and they will send these atoms to the second exit state. Okay, so this is called as the atom-atom collision. So in this way, the population inversion is achieved between. Okay, so the fourth one is the chemical pumping. So in this chemical pumping, we are mixed the two gases. Okay, let us say here we take the example of hydrogen and fluorine. So when hydrogen and fluorine, you can get the hydrofluoric acid. So during this chemical reaction, some of the heat is absorbed. So some of these heat absorbed. So the atoms will go to the, immediately when they are forming, they will take all the heat energy and they will go to the exit state. Okay. So this is not, what are the components of the lasers? Okay. So in order to achieve the population inversion, so first we need some active medium. Okay. So we need three parts. First one is the active medium, and second one is the pumping mechanism, third one is the cavity, resonant cavity. Okay. So these are the three important parts. So now we are going to see what are the features of this each part of the each component of this laser source. So here we need some medium. Okay, first one is the we need medium. It can be either gas, it can be either liquid, it can be either some chemical, or it can be some solid. Okay, so we need some medium to achieve the population inversion. So and the next one is the pumping mechanism. Okay, so in order to send the atoms to the exit state, that means to achieve the population inversion, we need the pumping. So in order to achieve the pumping, we have different types of pumping mechanisms. First one is the optical pumping, second one is the electrical pumping, third one is the atom-atom collision, and fourth one is the chemical pumping. So any of this can be, we can use it for the pumping to achieve the population inversion. Okay. Third one is the optical resonator. Okay. This optical resonator, to get the stimulated emission, we need the photons inside the cavity. Okay, so if we have the external photons, then only stimulated emission will occur. Otherwise, stimulated emission will not occur. Okay, so if we give the external photons, okay, then only we can get that stimulated emission. For this purpose, we need the external photons. Okay, in order to increase the number of photons inside the cavity, we need the optical resonator. Okay, so here you can see this is the amplifying medium. That means it is the laser medium. Okay, to send the atoms to the exit state, we need the pumping source. Okay, and to increase the number of photons inside the cavity, we need the mirrors. Okay, so these mirrors will reflect the light. Okay, as this is the this optical resonator contains the two mirrors. First one is the fully reflecting mirror, and second one is the partially reflecting mirror. Okay, so now I'm going to explain each and every part. Okay, so first one is the active medium. Okay, so we need some material. Okay, we need some material where we can get the population inversion. Okay, so the material in which medium we can get the population inversion, that medium is known as the active medium. Okay, so here you can see, so actually these are the electrons, these are colliding with these gas atoms. Okay, and again these atoms are colliding again with the second gas atoms. So if the laser transition is taking place, only these atoms, but these gas molecules will help us to get the population inversion in the next exercise. So actually the laser emission will take place in the second gas. So this is called as the active centers. Okay, even though this total gas is called as the combined gas, the mixture of two gases is called as the active medium, but laser transition is taking place only in the gas 2, then only gas 2 is said to be the active centers, because here the radiation is stimulated emission radiation is taking place. Okay, so that's why this gas 2, that means this gas 2 is called the centers. Okay, because here it is taking place, the center for the this laser emission is this gas. So the atoms, so in which atoms the population inversion is taking place, that medium is known as the active medium. Okay, and in which atoms the population inversion is taking place, and the laser is emitting from which atoms, that is centers, that means those atoms are called as the active centers. Okay, so it can be solid, liquid or gas depending upon the medium. Okay, suppose if the medium is solid, then it is called as the solid state laser. Okay, if it is liquid, then it can be liquid or it can be a gas. If it is gas, then it is said to be the gas laser. Okay, so depending upon the solid, it is a, if it is a solid, then you can call it as the solid laser. Okay, solid state laser. And if it is a gas, we can say it as the gas laser. Or if it is a liquid or some chemical, then it is said to be some chemical laser. Okay, so next one is the pumping source. So in order to achieve the population inversion, we need some pumping source, like optical pumping, or it can be electrical pumping, or it can be atom collision or chemical pumping. Okay, so third one is the optical resonator. Okay, so this optical resonator consists of two mirrors. So this is the one mirror and this is the second mirror. Okay, so here this is one is the fully reflecting mirror, 100% reflector. Okay, and this one is the partially reflecting mirror. Okay, so here it will be only 99% reflector. Okay, so it consists of two mirrors facing with each other. Okay, so this is one mirror and this is another mirror. They have to be parallel. Okay, they have to be parallel, and one is the 100% reflector and second one is the 99% reflector. Okay, so let us suppose first we initiate with the stimulated emission. Here you can see there are two photons. Okay, so when the stimulated emission takes place, two photons are emitted. Okay, so these two photons are traveling and they will bring another atom to the ground state. That means stimulated emission is taking, because each stimulated emission will produce the two photons. So it will be, this mirror also again reflects the light, these photons. Okay, when these two these two photons, let us say, produce the stimulated photon and produces the 4 photons outside. Okay, so these photons will reflect back here and they will produce the 8 photons. Okay, so and again they will reflect, because this is a mirror, this is also mirror. Okay, so when the photons incident on this mirror, they will get, so they will reflect back and these 4 photons again start the stimulated emission. And okay, so these will travel again in this direction and they will reflect back and they will produce the stimulated photon and they will produce the 16 photons. Okay, so these will reflect back and they again stimulated emission will take place and they will get, and you can produce the 32 photons. Okay, so in this way the number of photons are getting multiplied and multiplied. Okay, so this is the optical resonator. Here you can see, so first we give only one photon. Okay, it will bring the excited atom to the ground state. Okay, so in the stimulated emission we can get the 2 photons out. Okay, so this is also reflecting mirror. Okay, so here they can reflect back and they will give the 2 photons to the ground state. Okay, so it will bring the 4 photons to the outside. Okay, so this is also mirror, since these are again reflecting back. Okay, this is also mirror, because since mirror can reflect back the light. Okay, so these 4 photons again bring the 4 atoms to the ground state. Okay, so again you can get the 8 photons. Okay, 8 photons, and again these will be reflected back. Okay, and again it produces the 16 photons. Okay, 16 photons. So in that way we can get the number of photons get multiplied. So this is the use of optical resonator. Okay, so in this way we can multiply the number of photons. Okay, here there are 3 components. Okay, first one is the laser medium. Okay, second one is the pumping source, because so we need some atoms in the medium, otherwise we cannot get a laser. Okay, so we need some atoms, so we need some medium. Okay, and we need to send the atoms to the excited state by using the pumping. Okay, that is the second requirement. Okay, third one is the mirrors. This is called as the optical resonators. We need the 2 mirrors which are parallel to each other. Okay, here we have one is the 100% reflector and second one is the 99% reflector. External photon is given, so let us say we have already achieved the population inversion. Okay, when the external photon is given to this one, so it will de-excite the excited atom to the ground state and it will give the 2 photons, because this photon start the stimulated emission and it will give the 2 photons. Okay, so these 2 photons, because this is also a mirror, it will reflect and these 2 photons again initiate the stimulated emission and these bring the 2 atoms to the ground state and it will give the 4 photons. Okay, again this is a mirror, here it will reflect back. Okay, and this will bring the 4 atoms to the ground state because there are 4 photons. Okay, so these 4 photons gives the initiate the stimulated emission and it will give the 8 photons. Okay, again this is a mirror, it will reflect back and it will give the 16 photons. So by reflecting again and again in the inside the cavity, so we can get the number of photons, we can get the many number of photons. Okay, so depending upon the active medium, we have classified these lasers into several types. Okay, suppose if you use the solid state material as the laser source, then it is said to be the solid state laser. Okay, so if you use the gas source like helium neon mixture or carbon dioxide, then if you use the gas as a laser medium, then it is called as the gas lasers. Okay, so if you use the semiconductor material such as gallium arsenide or gallium indium nitride, okay, such type of materials, if you use the semiconductor material as the active medium, then it is said to be the semiconductor laser. Okay, so in a similar way, if you use the chemical like hydrofluoric acid, then it is called as the chemical laser. Okay, so if you use the some dye like rhodamine or coumarin, so then it is called as the dye lasers. Okay, so if you use the excimer like mixture of argon or chlorine or fluorine, okay, so these kind of lasers are called as the excimer. So if you use the material, then it is called as the solid state laser. If you use the gas as the active medium, then it is called as the gas laser. Okay, depending upon the active medium that you have used, it is called as the type of laser. Okay, so next one is the helium neon laser. Okay, here in helium neon laser, we have construction and working. Okay, first we will go for the construction. So in construction we have the active medium. Okay, so first one is the active medium, which is helium and neon gas. It is a mixture of two gases in the ratio of 10:1. So this ratio is pressure ratio, not the number of molecules ratio. Okay, so this is the pressure ratio. So if you take the neon 1 atmospheric pressure, then the helium must be 10 atmospheric pressures. Okay, so this is, if it is 1, that means the pressure of helium gas is 10 times more than the neon atoms. Okay, so next one is the pumping mechanism. Here we use the pumping mechanism, electrical discharge plus atom collision. Okay, so this is the pumping mechanism. Here we have a discharge tube. This is the discharge tube. Okay, here we have, so first we make the vacuum and then we will fill this discharge tube with the helium and neon gas with 10:1 pressure ratio. Okay, so in this glass tube. Okay, so here we have used the two electrodes. One is the cathode and second one is the anode to apply the electricity. Okay, so to apply the electricity and to get the electrical discharge, we have to apply the large amount of electricity. So by using the power supply, we apply the electricity to the anode and cathode. Okay, so when we apply the electricity to this gas mixture, so it will get ionized. Okay, so next one is the optical resonator. So we have, for the optical resonator, we have one is the 100% reflector. Okay, so here we have high reflector, that means it is 100% reflector. This is the 99% reflector. Okay, and 1% light should be transmit, because for outside application, after getting the more number of photons inside, so it will transmit 1% of the photons to the outside. So this is the 99% reflector and this is the 100% reflector. Okay, so here you can get only 99% reflected and 1% transmission. Okay, so this is about the construction of the helium neon laser. Okay, so this is the gas tube. First in the gas tube we will make the vacuum and then again we will fill with the helium and neon gases in the pressure ratio of 10:1. Okay, here we apply the electrical discharge and atom collision. So when we apply the electricity, some of the ions are getting ionized. So here you can see, so this is the gas discharge tube. Okay, this is the gas discharge tube. So in this we have mixture of helium and neon gases. Okay, in the pressure ratio of 10:1. So when we apply the lot of amount of electricity, so this is the cathode, so this is a positive electrode and this is the negative electrode. Okay, so whenever we apply the large amount of electricity, okay, so some of the atoms are get ionized. That means some of the atoms becomes, so this is the positive charge in a nucleus, so some of the electrons are removed. That means it will become positive ions and electrons. Okay, so this is called as the ionization. So that means some of the atoms becomes ions. Okay, that means it become positive ions and some of the electrons are removed. Okay, so these electrons are having the very less amount of mass. Okay, since the electrons are very lighter, okay, they are small in small amount of mass. So when the large amount of electricity is applied, okay, so this is the positive electrode. So since these electrons are having the negative charge, okay, so this negative charge and negative charge will repel, because similar charges will repel and opposite charges will attract. So these electrons attracted towards the positive electrodes. So during this so when they travel with the higher velocity, these electrons will collide with the some helium atoms. Okay, so these red color balls are the helium atoms. Here you can see they will move very fast and they will collide with the helium atoms, and again these helium atoms again collide with the neon atoms. Okay, so these electrons will transfer its kinetic energy to the helium atoms, okay, and they will come to the rest, and these helium atoms again collide with the neon atoms and they will transfer the energy from the electrons to the neon atoms. Okay, so in this way we can move the electrons very fast. Okay, here you can see these high speed electrons, they will collide with the, so this is the energy levels of the helium atoms. Okay, so this is the energy levels of the helium atoms. So F1 is the ground state of helium, and F2 is the first excited state, and F3 is the second excited state. Okay, so when these high speed energetic electrons, when they collide with the helium atoms, okay, so they will go to the excited state. Okay, since there are two excited state, one is having the energy 19 point electron volt, and second one is the 20.6 electron volts. Okay, so this is the ground state, and this is the first excited state, and this is the second excited state. Okay, so when these are collide with the, this is the helium atoms. When electrons collide with the helium atoms, they will go to the excited state, and again these helium atoms again collide with the neon atoms. Okay, so when they collide with, they will transfer the energy to the neon atoms. Okay, since here you can observe, so the F3 level of helium and E6 level of neon both are having the same energy. Okay, and in a similar way F2 level of helium and E4 level of neon both are having the same energy. Okay, so when they collide, these electrons of this helium atom, when they collide with the neon atoms, they will, so since these are having the same energy, so these electrons will transfer to the same energy level. Okay, that means to the E4 and E6. Okay, here this is a neon atom having the 6 energy level. When this collide with the, so here E6 and E4, these two are the metastable. These two are the metastable states. So electrons here will stay for a long time. Okay, so that means these atoms will spend a long time here, because these are the metastable. So these are the metastable states. So population inversion is achieved, because since there are no atoms in the E5 and there are neon atoms in the E6 level. In a similar way, E4 is the metastable states, and so since there are no atoms in the E3 level, okay, population inversion is achieved between the E4 and E3 and E6 and E5 and E6 and E3. Okay, so here we have three types of laser transition will take place. First one is the E6 to E5. Okay, so E6 to E5, that is equal to 3.392 micrometer. Okay, second one is the E6 to E3. Okay, here you can remember, so the first letter of E6 is equal to, so the first letter E6 energy level, so first letter is 6. Okay, so E3 is equal to 3. Okay, so you can remember this 63 as the 6 and 3. So the transition will take place from the 6 energy level to the 3 energy level. So you can remember first two letters of this laser transition. That means the wavelength of this between the two energy levels, that is emitted by these two energy levels. Okay, that is equal to first two letters of this one. Okay, 632.8 nanometers, which can give the red wavelength. Okay, so next one is the E4 to E3, because here the population inversion is taking place between the E4 and E3. Okay, so another photon. So finally we can get the three types of lasers. Okay, so first one is the E6 to E3, which can give the 632 nanometers, and second one is the E6 to E5, and third one is the E4 to E3, that is equal to 1.152, which is in the infrared region. Okay, so we can get the three types of lasers. Here the population inversion is taking place in the neon atoms. Although here the helium and neon, both mixture of these two gases will act as the active medium, but only laser emission is taking place from the only neon atoms. So this will act as the active centers. Okay, since there are 4 energy levels is involved in the laser transition, it is a 4-level laser. We call it as the 4-level laser. Okay, so this is the energy level diagram. So this is the helium energy levels F1, F2 and F3. Okay, so this is at 19.81 and this is at 20.61. Okay, so when the electrons are collided with the helium atoms, they will go to the excited state. Okay, since these helium atoms again collide with the neon atoms, they will go to the, so these the helium atoms transfer the electrons of neon atoms to the E6, E4 and E6 levels. Okay, and E6 and E4 levels are metastable states. So laser translation will take place from the between E6 and E5 and E4 and E3 and E6 and E3. Okay, so first electrons, this star represents the excited state of the electrons. So when these excited state of electrons, that means they are having the energy. When these electrons collide with the helium atoms will go to the excited state and electrons will come to the ground state. Okay, so when these helium atoms they collide with the neon atoms, neon atoms will go to the excited state and helium atoms will come to the ground state. Okay, in a similar way, when the neon atoms are in the excited state, so the population inversion is achieved between the E6 and E5 and E6 and E3 and E4 and E3. Okay, so here the laser, three types of lasers are coming out. Okay, so again, so when they come to the E3 level, they will they will come to the ground state by spontaneous emission by colliding with the walls and they will come to the ground state. Okay, again when they come to the ground state, these helium atoms again collide with the neon atoms and they will send the electrons to the excited state. Okay, so in this way this process is continuous and repeatable and helium neon laser is continuous laser. Okay, so the main advantage of this laser, sir, it is very inexpensive because here we are using the helium and neon. Only these are gases. It is not expensive. Okay, since it is produced, so this process is repeating. It will give the continuous laser. Okay, and this output power is about only 1 watt to 100 milliwatts. That means it is a very low power. So the beam quality is high because the directionality is very high. Directionality of this laser is very high. So directionality of this laser is very high. So it is often used for the alignment purpose. Okay. Okay. So the disadvantage is low efficiency because here we are giving the electric discharge. Lot of electricity we are applying for the electric discharge, but output power is very small. Okay. So if we apply 10 kilovolts power, okay, we are getting only 1 watt. Okay. That means its efficiency is very low and low gain. So because here we are getting the low input, high input, but we are getting the low output. Okay, so the gain is very low. Okay, so this power is also low. Okay, so these are limited to low power tasks. We cannot use it in the industry. So that's all about the construction and working of the helium neon laser source, and we learned about the principles of laser source, and we discussed about the stimulated emission and spontaneous emission and absorption. Okay, and we have learned about the characteristics of lasers. Okay, so in the next class we are going to learn about the CO2 laser and the semiconductor laser and applications of lasers. Okay, so I hope you understand up to this one. So in the next class we will discuss about the CO2 laser and the semiconductor laser. Okay, so keep safe at home.